Hey, welcome to Biz, the podcast that makes the world better for women at work. I'm Michelle Battersby. I launched Bumble across the Asia Pacific region. I now have my own tech startup, Sunroom, which is a creator monetization platform that's paid out millions of dollars to the women that use it.
And I'm Soph, Hirst, ex-Google marketing manager and founder of WorkBaby, a career coaching program for people early in their career. On the agenda for today's episode, Michelle, did you know that the traditional work mentor is out? We're entering a new era of mentorship and we think you're going to love it. So you probably have an idea of what a mentor is, maybe you even have one. And the way a lot of us have been taught to think about it is you have this single person who's more senior in your company or your industry, and you have this ongoing relationship with them. But instead of a single mentor, we want you to think about building yourself a mentorship series. So this is a series of intentional conversations with lots of different people. In today's episode, we're reframing mentorship, and we are going to give you the 5-line email. It's going to help you land some insanely high-profile mentorship conversations.
So by the end of this episode, you could have sent off an email and be well on your way to landing a mentor.
Michelle, do you have a mentor yourself?
My initial response to that question is no, but it's because I haven't put a formal label on the relationships I have with people I get advice from. And I think having a mentor is really just having someone that you trust and respect, and you can learn from their experiences. So with that in mind, yes, I do have mentors, and I do like thinking about mentoring in a more disarming way where it's not this scary, rigid, formal thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm so excited to get into this episode.
So this idea of a single mentor or a series of mentors is really just like being in an open relationship. You can collect an army of brilliant brains and different experiences that you can learn from to expand your own career. I kind of love the open relationship analogy.
Yeah. And just to continue that further, the problem with, so if you look at the traditional model for mentorship, you'd have this, this one person and you'd have this long-term relationship with them. The problem with it is that often it would just get a bit weird. The vibes would sort of die. It would often start strong and then end really awkwardly. And also, like a relationship, you sort of had all this pressure to find this one perfect person. And I felt this so much, I grew up in regional New South Wales. I went to uni and it felt like after uni, everyone got into the workforce and everyone kind of had a mentor. I had no clue, I didn't have a business network around me. I had no clue how to find a mentor myself. And I just felt really intimidated by the whole thing. And like I'd already failed because I didn't have a mentor in my career. So what we want to help you guys do is to actually reframe what mentorship is. And we want to explain the new way to do it.
Hit us with it, Soph. What is the
Yeah.
new way to
So
do mentorship?
yeah, exactly. So instead of having this one single mentor that you might have 10 chats with in the year, we want you to think about 10 different people that you have one conversation with. So this is a series of mentor chats where you have intentional conversations with specific people to actually learn something and to figure something out. So it's much more specific. Michelle, the reason that I actually think this is a way better approach, one, you would be so surprised by who is actually willing to say yes when it's a once-off conversation versus an ongoing commitment. Two, these conversations are more specific. So you're going to prep for them. They're more specific and targeted versus a traditional mentorship relationship, which can often be quite general. And sometimes you just sort of feel like you're filling the space with questions. And then three, I actually think this approach is way more inclusive. So anyone can make this work for them, and you don't have to have sort of a big existing network of people that you know or work for a really big company. I think anyone can make this approach work.
I love this so much because it also sounds like there won't be any awkward breakups with this sort of process. I I became fascinated by this and went out on my Instagram stories and I ran a poll, and 83% of people came back to me saying that they did not have a mentor, which blew my mind. And I then asked a follow up question, which was, if you don't have a mentor but you want one, what are the blockers? And my question box responses have never been more packed. And the replies were pretty
Show
consistent.
us. Show us the
Oh,
messages.
well, how much time do we have here? Let's pull it up because it
Yeah.
honestly, I I don't know. I'd never know how to get this stat on Instagram, but I don't think my question box has ever looked like this. So we know we're helping people today.
So what was your question? Oh,
It just keeps going.
what?
So lots of
Wild.
people want a mentor, but they've got these blockers. And a big one is cost. People are wondering, how much does it cost? How do you determine that with a mentor, which we'll get into? They don't know who to ask and they don't know how to ask. So if this is your bread and butter. This is what you do at work, baby. So can you please, let's start with what actually is a mentor?
Yeah, let's bust some myths. So, a mentor is anyone where you learn from their experiences and then you apply that knowledge to your own situation. So, by asking them questions and by listening. So, I think it's helpful to know the difference between a mentor and a coach. So, a mentor is someone where the conversation is mostly about that other person. So, you're listening to them and you're applying that to your own situation. And a mentor conversation is unpaid. These should really be unpaid versus a coach, where in a coaching conversation, the focus of that conversation is typically on you. So they're going to ask you questions and guide you and give you frameworks, but it's really fully customized to you and your situation. Because of that, these conversations are typically paid. So I think that's probably the first, I was pretty shocked actually to see in some of those DMs, Michelle, that people were saying, how much should I actually pay a mentor, or I can't afford to pay a mentor. Well, the answer to how much should I pay a mentor is actually zero, because a true mentor relationship should be unpaid, because there is this mutual value exchange. So the mentor gets something out of it too. So I actually do both free mentorship and also paid coaching. And I've got 5 different people that I mentor right now, and I get so much out of these conversations with them. I think, the way that they emailed me, the vibe that we had in that first chat meant that, hey, I actually do want to stay in touch with these people, these young, smart, ambitious people. I get so much out of it. So yeah, it's a mutual value exchange, but typically a mentorship should be unpaid.
That is honestly, I think that will surprise so many people, that definition. And as you're walking through it, it also, on the flip side, expands the kinds of people that you could work with. Like, for example, I do mentoring as well. I don't do coaching. I don't believe I could do coaching. So I think there are a lot of people out there that are willing to share their experiences in more of a mentoring capacity. So there's a really broad, I honestly feel like most people would be down to accept a mentoring someone who is looking to propel themselves forward. Um, and on your point as well, like the mentor, you're sitting there thinking, just take from me, extract from me. Like you want them to ask the kinds of questions that are going to benefit them and unlock nuggets of your gold, free of charge. And it feels really good to do.
Yeah, I think it's about asking in the right way.
So we love to give you practical steps and advice here. So Soph is about to give us the 3 steps to develop your mentorship series. And then Soph, I want to ask you what we all should not be doing. So how do we start?
Okay, step one is to really ask yourself, why am I doing this? So, what am I trying to get out of it? And I thought it might be helpful to give you a live example. So, let's use the example of someone who they currently work in sales and maybe they want to go and work in marketing, and they're kind of thinking like, do I do that now, or should I just stay in sales a bit longer and work my way up? So, step number one is asking yourself, what am I trying to get out of it, and why do I want to have these chats? Step number two is to actually build yourself a short list of people. So to do that, you're going to be looking at, okay, I'm trying to pivot my career from sales to marketing. Let me maybe try and find some people that have done that. So you can first look at your internal network. There might be people within your company that have done it. You can then go and do a bunch of LinkedIn stalking. So people have so much information about their careers. It's actually so easy to find people who have done something similar to what you're trying to do. So you're going to do some LinkedIn stalking and then also just ask around. You want to try and land on sort of 3 to 5 people who have done something similar to what you're trying to do. That's step 1 and 2. Now, on to step 3, which is the very simple 5-line email that you are going to send them. So, I wouldn't normally read out an email live, but because it's so simple, actually, I just wanted to share that with you now if you're up for it.
Love it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
cool. Okay. So, the 5 lines. Part one, line one is hi, person's name. I know you're busy and you get a lot of emails. Part two, you're going to start with them. This is very important. So you want to show, I have spent time researching you. I know something about you, and you're going to start with them. So an example of that might be, I admired the way you pivoted your career from X to Y. Or it might be, I've been following your career for a while now, and I love the way you talk about topic X. Part three, you're going to link to you and why you actually want to have that conversation. So an example might be, the reason I'm interested in this is because I'm also trying to pivot my career from sales to marketing. And I'm currently working in this role at this company, and it would really help me to understand your process. Step line 4, it would have a huge impact on my career if you're able to give me 20 minutes on the phone or Zoom for a career chat so I can learn from your experiences. And 5, give them an out. So you say, I know this is a long shot, and I understand you might need to say no due to bandwidth. Even getting a reply from you would make my day. Link
Oh,
to you.
I love this, Soph. Like, it's
Yeah.
making me feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's making me feel warm and fuzzy if I were to receive something like that, but it's also making me feel like I wanna challenge myself now, take your template, and I wanna report back by our next episode with, like, an iconic founder that I have used this template for to get to mentor me, because I also think an important point is, like, don't cut yourself short with who you reach out to. Dream big when you write that short list of people that you wanna hit up.
Oh my God, like all the thumbs up. Yes. I even just a story from my own career. So actually one of the best mentor chats I've ever had is with the CMO of, currently the CMO of Telstra, Brent Smart. And I was having this amazing chat with him. I think it was supposed to be an hour and I got an hour and a half. And I mentioned in the chat that one of my very junior reports at Google actually had is a big fan of his and had sent me his podcast. And Brent said, well, I'll have a mentorship chat with him. And I was thinking, like, there's no way you can do that. But anyway, my report emails Brent, and the next week he's having a full hour with this very senior marketing leader, and he was very junior at the time. So I think, yeah, exactly what you said, Michelle. Don't hold back. Go for your dream list, and yeah, the trick is just really keeping it very short, making it about them, and explaining why you want to have this conversation and make it specific. And you will be so amazed at who is actually going to say yes.
Mm. Last thing from me on this. I also love that it wasn't, "Can I take you out for a coffee?" Because I do feel like the effort to go out and meet someone can sometimes just be a hurdle that you might not have capacity for, but to just jump on a phone call or Zoom is just making someone else's life easier, so I love that guidance. On that, what are the do's and don'ts? What are the red flags? What is not gonna land you a date?
Yeah, totally. So I actually have a lot of people emailing me to ask for for mentorship, and so I just want to share with you some of the things not to do. So the first red flag for me is, don't just ask someone to, can I pick your brain? Don't say that to them. You really need to show that you've invested time in understanding who they are and why you're actually having that conversation. So you want to make it specific. That's why asking for 20, 25 minutes on a phone call or Zoom is great. Don't just say, can I pick your brain? And then the other red flag is, never ask someone to be your mentor. The reason for that is, I just think like a good mentorship chat is, it's quite balanced, right? So like mentors love talking about their experience and how they can actually help young up and comers, So start asking someone to be your mentor, it just starts the vibe off as being really weird. And it also makes them feel like they're getting into this long-term relationship that maybe they
Yes.
don't want to be in.
It's almost like asking someone to become your committed, like, boyfriend or girlfriend before you've ever been on a first date. you might not need the label. Maybe that's one of the takeaways from this episode. You might not even need that label on the relationship to have a mentor. And I think that makes it less scary as well.
That is exactly it. You're just asking for a career chat. You are not asking for them to be a mentor.
So, what are the action points? What do I need to do right now to get a mentor?
So, step one is to really ask yourself, why am I actually doing this? What is the decision I'm trying to make? Or what am I trying to get better at? What am I trying to figure out? Step two is you want to get your short list of people. So, I think you can even set yourself a goal of like, I want to do 10 of these mentor chats in the year, whatever it is for you. And then step three is you want to have this email template, this very short email template, and we have made it super easy for you. So we've got it in the Biz newsletter. All you have to do is jump into the show notes and you can get the subscription link and you can subscribe and we'll send out that email template to you.
And if you happen to get a reply and you're thinking, what on earth do I do next? Don't worry, because we're also going to cover that in a future episode.
I just wanted to say to anyone who's sitting there thinking, I don't have a mentor. You do. You have three. You have me, Michelle, and Em from Biz. And we are here sharing our experiences and our mistakes so you can get a leg up in your career. You can also ask us questions. We really want to hear from you. So if you do have a question that you want to ask us, you can jump onto the Biz Instagram page. Again, a link to that is in the show notes. Drop us a question and we're going to start answering those for you.